Hey everybody, it's Nick from the Bass Hookup back again today with a quick little trick and tip that'll really up your Senko game, especially out here where we live, California Delta. It's getting that time of year, and there's keys to flipping or pitching the Senko that'll get you more bites for sure. So stick around. All right, number one, shy away from the smaller size Senkos. Yep, the 4 or 5, even 6-inch right now this time of year, from now January all the way through April, I'm gonna throw, and I'm gonna put my hand, if I'm pitching and flipping something, it's gonna be a 7-inch Senko. The big 7-inch Senko. I'm not going with the 6, not going with the 5. On the California Delta, I'm going 7-inch. You'll catch 1-pounders, you'll catch 2-pounders, but I feel like I get a lot of quality bites on the 7-inch Senko. And it does a few things for you. It's a lot heavier than even the 6-inch. So you could flip it in the wind, you could flip it when it's calm. There's always current out there. So I feel like where you're flipping it, it gets down a little quicker, okay? So it really helps out. That weight, that added weight, helps a ton when you're trying to pitch that thing out there. You know, from here to the dock out there, I'm gonna use the dock as cover. The second key to flipping, I'm gonna stop saying flipping, pitching really. Second key to pitching the Senko is getting it to land nice and soft. The quieter that thing enters the water, the more bites you're gonna have. A lot of the fish right now, from now to April, they're gonna be up either spawning or they're up sunning. And sometimes you may have seen them, they'll be up where you could kind of see their shadow right up near the top of the water. If you just flip that thing in there, and I see it all the time, guys just flip it in there like this. The splash is too big, okay? You want to flip it in there really nice and soft. So, couple keys for me. I'm throwing it wacky rigged on a first gen fishing O-ring. Again, 7-inch. It's going to allow you to control that bait a lot more. It's going to get you bigger bites. It's not too big, trust me. I know first time I put it on, I'm like, dude, this thing's like a cigar. It's huge compared to a 5 or 6-inch. You get used to it. Once you throw the 7-inch and you get bit on it, you won't go back to a smaller Senko until, you know, you have to. Then I'm throwing it at a minimum 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon. My setup, I like throwing straight fluorocarbon. I don't like braid to leader. Braid to leader, especially in tournaments or when I get that first bite of the day and it feels like a good bite, sometimes I get overexcited and I have a tendency to pop it, which I mean break it off. So straight fluorocarbon, it's smoother. I just get more bites on it. I'm usually gonna throw it like on 17 pound. I think that's my preferred size fluorocarbon to throw the wacky rig 7-inch Senko on. Rod, it doesn't have to be too heavy. This is a Dobyns Fury 734C. So it's a, they say it's a heavy fast action. It's not really that heavy. I'll throw spinner baits, chatter baits, crankbait, whatever on this rod, everything on this rod. And then the reel, your reel needs to be really a good reel. This is a Lew's, my favorite reel, the Lew's Tournament Pro LFS reel. Awesome reel, great drag. It's got a heavy drag if I want to get those fish out. But the reason you don't need super heavy line or really heavy rod is because of this right here, right? You have an exposed hook, and I'll link the hook down in the description below. It's an owner hook, no weed guard. I don't like a weed guard on it. I've had the weed guard sometimes, depending if it's a wire or whatever, impede my hook set. So I like no weed guard at all to the O-ring and super sharp sticky hook. If they get on there, you let them eat it, and you could just kind of pull into them. You pull into them, the hook's getting in their lip every time. So let's get into how you cast it and how you could slow this thing down and really improve your casting to improve your fish catches. All right, so first things first, if I'm looking at my reel here, I have one thing to understand about bait casters is, and I'm always using a bait caster to pitch my Senkos, pitch anything I'm pitching or flipping, is what's on this thing, right? So this is your main drag. This loosens and tightens the spool, so when you have a fish on, you could either let it take drag if you want, or you could tighten it, cinch it all the way up, and they're not taking any drag. That's number one. That's not really that important it's not important at all for being able to pitch or flip. What you're looking at is this right here. This is your main brake. This is what I like to call the main brake, and this is like your micro adjusting brake on this side of the reel. So what I want to do first is adjust the main brake here, and I like it pretty free depending on your skill level of casting, pitching. You might want it a little tighter, but I like this thing to be pretty free. So you could see my Senko 7-inch, it falls pretty fast. If I were to let it fall and take my thumb off of here, I'd get a backlash. Now if you want to make adjustments because of wind, I use this side here, so I could tighten it up. If there's a ton of wind, that slows it down ever so slightly, or you could loosen it up ever so slightly. Okay, so once I have that set, like I said, I like mine pretty free because I want to be able to pitch it pretty far, and I'm going to use my thumb. I'm just going to feather that spool the whole time if I need to. Now the key to getting that bait to just slip into the water, and what I mean is I'll show you in a second, when you stop the spool with your thumb, this bait, instead of landing like this on the water, instead of landing like this, boom, flat on the water, making a big splash, when you stop it, you want to stop it right before it touches the water. The Senko is going to fold up and literally slide in the water like a diver. So instead of doing a belly flop, this thing's going to do hands first, boom, just straight into the water, and it's going to go in really quiet. I'll show you. So here's the typical thing I always see. Typical flip, typical pitch. I'm going to go to that pole. It's nice and calm right there. Typical pitch right there is going to be like this. Okay, and you might think that's nothing. Now, in 2 feet of water, it is something. Those fish, a lot of times, like I said, they're super spooky. They're pressured. The quieter you could be, the better. So this, we don't want that. I want you guys to be able to get this method down and get that thing sliding in the water quietly. It's going to get you more fish and bigger fish. Big fish didn't get that way for no reason. They're smart. That's why you don't catch a whole ton of them. So a regular pitch like that, it's too much. It's splashing the water. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feather this thing in right when it's about to hit the water. You got to time it, and I'm going to keep my bait low to the water. Low to the water. That's another key. When I'm pitching out there, it's going to be low to the water. So I'm holding it in this hand. I'm pitching it with my right hand. I'm going to keep it low to the water. It's going to be controlled with my thumb the whole time. Right before it's going to touch, or I think it's going to enter the water, I'm going to stop. I'm going to put pressure on the spool to stop the bait from moving forward, and what's going to happen, the momentum of this worm, and it's so heavy, it's going to go from being straight. I'm going to stop it in midair. It's going to fold up and slide into the water. See if we could do it. Now that wasn't perfect, but it's a lot quieter because I stopped it. Now let's see here. See how that just feathered itself in the water? Super quiet. That's what I want. That's what I want to be able to do every time. So as I'm going down the bank and I'm pitching docks, pitching to toolies, like if those are toolies right there, say that's a little isolated clump of toolies right out there, those 2 poles, I want to just slide it in there. Just like that. Real soft. Reel it in and do it again. Go to the other side of those toolies, imaginary toolies. See how soft that landed? Maybe a drop of water came up, as opposed to this. See the difference? If there's a fish there, you're probably spooking it, okay, this time of year. So instead of going like this, letting it splash the water. Just practice. Come out to any water you guys can get to. If it's a swimming pool or a little pond, just come out and practice just feathering it in, just like that. Just feather that thing right into the water. And you could do this technique even further out. I mean, the further you could pitch, the better. Because again, the further you are away from that fish, the more it doesn't know you're there. The quieter your bait enters the water, the more it thinks these are natural surroundings. Some bait just landed in front of me. I'm lazy, I'm gonna eat it. So you could pitch, you know, way out. So practice those things. Hopefully you found that useful. You could see the difference between that bait belly flopping and the bait actually diving in the water. Hopefully you guys can see that and this video helps you out. I know you'll catch more fish if you go out and practice this technique. So please, if you liked it, subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time.